Welcome back to the Nomadic Nurse Podcast, where we talk about all of the above. We're talking about health, mentorship, business, nursing, faith, all the above with glory from the God from up above. Yes. We're here back in the Studio 760, and we're talking about another very impactful topic, a topic that's actually very close to my heart. And I have a guest. Yes, I have a guest. Miss Eva. Is Eva. Yes, hello. Yes. We are here to talk about the transition between student to professional. We had the conversation with just me, but I need to give you some meat in this conversation. Then we gave you the milk. Now we got the meat. Okay. Now, when it comes down to this conversation, nursing school, just replace nursing with whatever school you've been to and put it in front, and then your profession you are today, because this is a lovely LPN that works in Montreal, and she is now going to be in RN. Are you excited?
I'm super, super excited. I'm looking forward to this journey.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm very much happy to have you. And she's also a lovely little believer. We actually, so give a little intro about you, Eva.
So my name is Eva. I'm an LPN. I've been an LPN for 4 years. I work mainly in the ER department. I've been working in the ER department for about 3 years. The other units that I've worked on are internal medicine and cardiology. I work in the French system. I'm currently in nursing school. I'm in my last year. I'm finishing up my semester. And I'm going to be transitioning from LPN to RN, hopefully staying in the ER department, because I feel like the ER department is really c'est mon doudou la. Like, I just love it. I eat, breathe, live ER. I'm kind of like Mel. Like,
we love it. We're a special breed. We're a very special breed.
So I'm really, really looking forward to really embarking into this journey of becoming an RN.
Yeah, we're gonna start the episode off with the verse of the episode, and it is Proverbs 16:16. And we had to definitely bring up Proverbs in this conversation, because the book of Proverbs is all about wisdom. And if you don't know the book of Proverbs, it talks about wisdom, but in the context of a woman. And that was what King Solomon was, how he portrayed it, and how it would be most relatable to the people as God was speaking through him, as if this was God breathed into the Bible. So, get wisdom. How much better is it than gold? And get understanding. It is preferable to silver. This verse, when it comes down to wisdom, it is priceless. So one of the things that I have to say, because my background in nursing is just a little refresher here, working in nursing for about 13 years now, in emergency manager, hospital manager, loved all of it. Forget the part of the system, that's a whole other topic, but loved all of it. And then after we get into the conversation of, I get into teaching, I get into teaching for the licensing exams, advocating, and business. That's my expertise. And I brought Eva on here because I graduated again in 2013, but having Eva on here is talking about to the nursing student today. And keep in mind, you were an LPN and you went for schooling for that. Mm-hmm. And then you went for schooling for RN. So you did double whammy. So you were double relatable. Mm-hmm. You're coming in with a super huge package, because there's something that I don't have there. So enlighten us your journey as a student, and then we're going to get into your professional part.
Yeah. So essentially, I graduated from high school. I went into college. Mm-hmm. I went into 1 year of preparatory because there were some like science courses that I was missing. So I did that for about a year. And then I went into my program, which was nursing program. I spent about 2 years there. Unfortunately, I did not succeed. I failed in the second year, first semester. So it was PEDS. So unfortunately, I did not succeed. And because of that, I was kicked out of the program. That really, really got to me. It really... At that point, I was a Christian at that age, because it's been since the age of 17 that I am a Christian. Mm. So I was a believer then. I'm still a believer now. Will always be. But I was in college and I failed. And that was really hard on me, because I was questioning God, and I was like, why is it that I'm continuously not succeeding? Why is it that I'm continuously failing? I really led to a point of like, I even went like through a depression stage. Like I really had negative thoughts because I was like, why is this happening? Like usually I'm a straight A student. Like why am I failing at something that I love? I love helping. I love healing. I love being around people. I love being with people who are at their most vulnerable time. We can be that angel to comfort them.
Yeah.
You know? And so I unfortunately did not succeed. I took 1 year. I was in college still 1 year, but I was doing like basic general courses. Then after, I wanted to get back into RN. So I applied to different colleges. I did not get it, unfortunately. So then I started to look at other options, and then I went through the route of an LPN. So I went through the LPN for about 2.5 years. It was longer than expected because COVID hit. So it extended. Usually it's like about 1.5 years too, but it extended to 2.5 years because of COVID. And then I graduated from LPN, got really good grades, worked my butt off. People say it's easy. It's not easy.
No.
But yeah, so I went through LPN, I finished the schooling, and then after that I worked 1 year, and then I went back to school. And yet again, I applied to different colleges. The English system, I did not get in, but the French system got in. I got into schooling. So now I am studying nursing in the French Cégep. André Landau is where I'm studying currently right now. And I'm finishing up my last semester. And I've been exceeding more than I could even imagine. And as I'm looking at this journey of like school and everything that I went through, like I slowly start to see how God shifted in my life and in my journey. And there was a reason why, and I'm slowly discovering that reason of why he made me go through all of that to be where I am today. Because I think if I would have succeeded as a nurse at that time, I don't think I would have been the best nurse that I am right now.
Ooh, say that again.
I really don't think I could really be that empathetic nurse that would really, be there mentally, emotionally, and physically for a patient that is vulnerable.
Yeah. Because the trials that we go through as professionals and as students, we underestimate that. I find we underestimate, and I'm not saying this of like, it's the trials that we go through as students, whether it be within our, at least in our student phase, whether it be personal or whether it be there's a personal aspect to it, or it's just strictly in our student life. Those trials will make or break the quality of nurse that you will, not the licensing exam. I want to make that so clear, because we have that issue right now in when it comes down to the licensing exam, and in the province of Quebec, we do not do the NCLEX exam. I just want to make that clear. It's a very different system. And unfortunately, there's been some fluctuations in that regard, but that's again another topic, another one. When it comes down to your journey, I relate to this a lot. I did my licensing exam 3 times. I had a burnout in between. So there was one exam that I didn't do. So I did it in 2013. I managed to succeed in 2015. And there's so many people that were like, luckily my boss, where I worked in that era, by the way, guys, it was a different time zone completely. My boss I said, listen, I failed my exam. And I expected her to kick me out. And she's like, no, you're not going anywhere. Doesn't change the quality of your nursing skills right now. Like, you're still qualified for this. And that gave me a lot of confidence. And that moment that my boss did that in that time gave me a lot of confidence and was very reassuring. And it was very nice for somebody to have an employer believe in me like that. And it's not common to have that these days, I've noticed. Not because the employer is not nice or they're not good people. It's just there's so much on their plate as well. So let's also show some grace in regards to that. But I did my licensing exam. It was it was extremely challenging. I did fail 1 semester of nursing school, and look where I am today. Like, I'm on it doesn't, those moments of failure, I do not fear failure. It's the weirdest thing now. Yeah. And it's nice. And this episode, really, I want to emphasize that fear failure to the point that you want to do well. But if there's failure that comes about, take the lesson and run with it. Take the lesson and everything. So as you're going through this, what is on your mind when you're going through this? Like, what are the emotions that you're going through throughout this process?
There's a lot of emotions that I've gone through and that I'm still going through. Nursing school is, as you know, it's not easy. It's so tough mentally, physically, emotionally. It gets the better of you. It just really, at some point, you can just be like feel really defeated. I know there were points where I was having like mental breakdowns and I was really questioning myself whether or not I wanted to do this or not. But overall, like through this entire journey, like I've really, school-wise, I've learned, like you said, it's okay to fail. It's okay to, don't be afraid of failure, because in failure, that's where you grow the most. And I feel like in those moments where you fail, and when you come to God and you talk to God, he's like a father. Like he comforts you and he's like, my child, it's okay. You're going through this for a reason. There's something that I'm teaching you out of this. And that's really, throughout my journey, that's really what I've learned, is that through my failures, God was like, when I thought he wasn't near, through your failures, that's when he's like the closest. You just have to have, like we were talking about the other time, not have selective hearing, you know? So in those times where throughout their journey where I was like, you know, feeling defeated, questioning, you know, why am I failing? It's really to lead up to a point where it's like, there's glory out of this.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
There was a level of shame that I felt. There was, but it lasted for like a millisecond. And then I just said, okay, let's get to my courses. Let's get to my next step. I want this. I don't see myself doing anything else. So I got to do it. That was when I failed that semester. And then with that licensing exam, when I failed that licensing exam twice, I didn't think of an NCLEX, and nor did I think I had an option at that time. I wasn't aware of those options, but when it came, now it's being limited and all that stuff. But the biggest truth when it comes down to being a student in general is that when we go through these challenges, or striving for perfection, and that is a thing that a lot of us battle a lot. We tend to believe that we have to be perfect in our studenthood in order for us to get that career, that job opportunity. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's 100% true. There's always that, even I've felt it, like I feel like I need to be perfect. I need to exceed. I need this 90. I need this 99. I need to be in stage and get the highest grade that I can. I need to be perfect in everything that I perform in, but it's just, c'est pas la réalité, guys.
No.
See, it's not.
Because here's the thing, we tend to put the burden on ourselves because there's lives in our hands that we're about to take care of. And that yes, there are lives in our hands, and we are training to become big time healers in this world. We are trained, but the thing is that one thing that we understand is that we are in studenthood. And when you get to certain levels, certain checkpoints of studenthood, you are supposed to accomplish these tasks and this curriculum and complete it successfully within these parameters. And then that's what makes you move on to the next. Now, again, those parameters give you room for imperfections. Now, we're not here to say like, oh, don't strive to be great. Of course, strive to be great, but don't kill yourself in the process. Don't burn yourself out in the process. How do people learn when you're burnt out? Did you ever experience burnout in studenthood?
Oh, I experienced burnouts so many times because I would be balancing work, school, and my everyday general life. And when I've experienced burnout, it's crazy. It's like, c'est comme t'es amorphe. Like you can't function anymore. You're just mentally, you're not there. You're crying, you're bawling your eyes out, you're shaking, you have anxiety, you're barely eating, you're in a ball crawled up. Like it's tough. Like being in nursing school, it's tough because you balance school, which is already a lot because c'est beaucoup de matériel that they're teaching you, and it's like,
and you did it twice.
Yeah.
No, she did it twice. She went to LPN school and she's like, I want more. And she went to RN school. Like how do you, what is that type of burnout where did you experience your burnout more? And this is not to go towards a type of school. It's just the schooling process I'm talking about. Which one did you experience more of the burnout, in RN school or an LPN school?
No, RN.
Really?
RN, yeah, most definitely RN. Because RN, it's like, as you know, it's like a bunch of courses all in one. So you have pharmacologie, avec la gériatrie, avec un labo. There was like so many like components that it would jungle all at once. And then you had tes cours de biologie en plus.
Yeah.
En plus, t'avais tes cours des cours généraux. And then it was like, it burns you out. There's like assignments here, exams here, tests here, one thing after the other. You're trying to like
catch up.
You're trying to survive, essentially. I felt throughout nursing school like I was just trying to survive.
Yeah.
You know?
But with you trying to survive here, okay. So define trying to survive. I'm curious because I know you and it don't look like you tried to survive. The girl's killing it. Let's well, define your version of trying to survive, because you look like, based on the papers, on the books, you're thriving. So what do you mean by that?
Well, essentially, trying to survive is trying to really, comment je peux dire, comme understand. Like, you know how you say you want that 100, you want that. That's me trying to survive, trying to get that 100.
Okay.
I really want, because there was a point also that I was afraid of failing once again. But then at some point I was like, okay, you know what? Like, it's okay. It will happen. But trying to survive, as in trying to get to the next step, trying to succeed in my exam, trying to succeed in my work as well, trying to be able to make those hours, trying to be able to balance out everything. That was just me trying to essentially survive, because I had all of those combined together. I was working as an LPN, going to school as an RN.
Yes. And
then, you know, and working in the ER, you know, how it's tough mentally.
Yeah.
So that contributed on top of me trying to survive in my everyday life, because nursing school it's heavy.
Yeah.
It's rewarding at the end, but it's heavy.
Did you notice based on a certain times where you're working more, working less, did you notice a fluctuation in your grades? And this is okay. Like I did, when I worked more, my marks went down.
I realized when I worked a lot, because I would mainly do a 8 quinzaine, but sometimes
What's a 8 quinzaine, just so the people know?
So a 8 quinzaine is essentially when you work 8 days out of 15 days schedule.
Okay, got it.
They make it out of like a 2-week schedule. So I'd work 8 out of the 15 days.
Okay.
Sometimes I would do like des temps supplémentaires.
Okay.
And I would notice when I would work more and more and more, I would notice like my grades would like slowly go down.
Okay.
And that's when I realized like, okay, like I need to like back off a little bit, because it could be problematic at some point.
Right.
Because I didn't want to fail, but I didn't want to have that bad grade. And you know, a low grade or a bad grade doesn't define a nurse. I've always said that. Whether you're a nurse who came out of school with a 60 or a nurse who came out of school with a 90, like I feel like that does not define you as a nurse. For me personally, a nurse is someone who's able to have compassion, care, and empathy, just to have a human relationship.
Right.
That's, for me, is a nurse. So yeah,
I agree with that, because one of the things as a student, because I've been a student at one point and I've also been a teacher. And as a teacher, the one thing that I've noticed is that if you can be able to give me every single piece of anatomy, or you can tell me every artery in the body. But here's the thing, if you have no human connection to your patient and you don't practice your skill set, there's no way that you're going to succeed in this.
No.
There's no way that you're going to flourish in this. You have to come in, when it comes down to being a nurse, there's a reason why we have caring courses. There's like I'm not sure if you did it, but I had to do a caring class.
We have the caring class.
There we go. So that's still happening. And when it comes down to being caring and compassionate, these moments, it's not something you can necessarily teach. And you have to be ready for those moments. You got to, like, as a teacher, I can't teach that to you.
Yeah.
I can't tell you that you need to be more caring. And they're like, but how do I do that? I'm like, you have a life in your hands. You have, like, you can't just like flip flop them when you're changing their diaper. You got to remember that they're a human. They need to be treated with care. And the thing is that patients will remember you. And even as a student, y'all, because you guys got to do stage. Patients will remember you with how you made them feel.
Yeah.
More like how you cared for them or was attentive to their stuff and advocating for them. They put that in the forefront before intellect in their perspective from what I've noticed. Like in majority, I'm speaking like majority of my cases that I've seen. But here's the thing. Don't sleep on the fact that you need to be intellectual. You need to know your stuff. But understand that sometimes this will unfold like an onion. Like you will peel off one day, like, okay, I understand cardiology. Okay, I understand neurology. Okay, and it'll peel in its timing, because when you graduate nursing school, when you graduated from LPN school, did you know everything?
Yeah.
You knew everything?
Well, not everything, but like you knew the base. What they teach you is what I retained.
Yeah, but when I mean that you knew everything, like did you is when you started work? Was there things that you didn't know?
There was there was a lot of things that I didn't know.
There we go.
A lot of things.
And that's okay.
Theory is different from practical. Like you need to be able to smother them together,
marry them,
and just marinate them and all that.
Smother, marry, you need to be able to bring those two together, and bringing that together is a very hard thing to do, because yes, I can pass with a 90 on my exam, but let's say, for example, I have a patient that that's in CHF or heart failure, and you don't know what to do. Well, what about that 90? Yeah. It's because it's applying the practical to the theoretical and vice versa is extremely hard thing. What are your thoughts on that?
That's actually a really good point. So I personally, theory and practical for me, they go hand in hand.
Right.
They definitely, let's say, for example, a patient is having has heart failure, CHF, like you said, and then they have rétention d'eau.
Yeah.
Soit dans les poumons ou soit comme dans les jambes.
Yeah.
And then you're giving a medication, which is Lasix.
Yeah.
Right? So the theory part of it is like, you need to understand, why is it that I'm giving this Lasix? You know what I mean? Like you need to it's important to apply the theory to the practical, because if you don't apply it, you can have an error and that could cost someone's life. At the end of the day, it's people's lives that we have in our hands. We need to know what we are doing.
Yes.
And that's what I found very important as I went through the journey of nursing school, is not memorizing word by word the theory, but understanding the theory, understanding, why am I giving this? Why am I doing that? To what are these side effects of this? What are the consequences? Like I always push forward to understanding and not memorizing the theory. Because if you memorize it, forget it. It's when you get out and you go into the practical,
like you cannot memorize this job. You cannot. It's not that type of. You have you can use a mnemonic to help you remember things, but you have to find a way to applying this. You have no choice. You're touching on people's lives. You have no choice. The beginning, it only lasts for so long, the memory, and then it just sweeps away.
Yeah, because when you get to I'm practicing right now for the OIQ, and the text that they give you, if you memorize it, ça sert à rien.
Exactly.
It's text where it's like, you need to understand, okay, this patient has angina and he's taking a la patch nitroglycerine.
Yeah.
Why is he taking this? Can you take it off at night? Do you not take it? Like you have to understand la matière pour être capable de pratiquer.
Exactly. So coming full circle to the failure part. So then we come back down to this whole thing where we fail. And then after, this failure is going to cost somebody's life. My thoughts on that is absolutely false. When you, first of all, when you go into nursing school, if you're failing and you're given a second chance, but to me, there's no shame in that game. I've been in it, but at the same time, I don't, at the end of the nursing school realm, when we graduate, I don't know the difference, because they've learned their lessons. And in fact, it's made them a different type of nurse. And those things are so important to remember, because God will put that failure, he'll put that thing there because he wants you to be this type of nurse. He wants you to be empathetic to the ones that have failed. He wants you to teach those. He wants you to advocate for those, because if I didn't fail my one semester of nursing school, if I didn't fail 2 licensing exams, I would not have all of this. And you think I would have gotten all the jobs that I've gotten? I wouldn't have been working in an emergency department. So just let's make that clear. She wouldn't be working in an emergency department. As much as our system's broken, we can tell, at the very least, we can tell who we're hiring and who we're not. And if it goes sour, it's very, and here's the thing, we don't like to mess around with that. We don't. And because keep in mind, forget the fact that I'm losing a license. I'm costing a patient their life.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that we have to remember is that you have to learn from the failure. You have no choice but to learn from the failure. Or else that's when you get weeded out. Yes, you can fail in your studenthood thing without it costing the life of a patient. Of course, I've seen commonly people fail more so in the theoretical because they had a different. And if it's in the stage part, it's because they had a hard time applying it. I've seen a combinations of failures, but the failure that I've seen more commonly is the ones that know their theory, they can't apply it to their practical, and they have issues marrying that. And guys, that part is very, very hard. You have to show yourself grace on that. But at the same time, you have to find strategic ways to learn in that circumstance. You're not going to learn the same way as a commerce student. Yeah. So when it comes back down to the comment of being in failure and thinking that failure is all is end all, how do you reverse that mindset?
Oof. Oh my goodness, you got me.
How do you reverse the mindset of fearing failure to the negative aspect rather than fearing failure to become better? Yeah. There's a difference.
That's a good question. That's a tough question, but that's a good question because
I'm still working on it.
Because even to this day, there are times where I have those thoughts of I'm scared of failing. I'm scared of failing. But like I said earlier, if I hadn't gone through the journey of failing, I would have never become the nurse or becoming the RN that I am right now. All those failures that I have gone through teach me now that when I'm confronted with the fear of failing, I'm like, no, get yourself together. It's going to be okay.
Figure it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because let's say it's the same thing that is coming along the lines of like that same situation of failing that I had in the past, it's coming again. I do things to prepare myself to avoid that. And because it has happened in the past, I've learned from those failures learning from those when I'm confronted with it right now I know how to act on it. And now I know how to avoid it. But it's tough sometimes because when those negative thoughts start coming in and start rolling in, it's like it's hard when the enemy comes and just talks and talks and talks and is like, you won't get this, don't like, it's tough. But then you always gotta I just tell myself, you know what, I got this, I've been through this, I can get through this with God's will. If I can get through this.
How has God impacted your studenthood?
Oh my
and
goodness.
Going into your professionalism?
God has impacted me so much so authentically. I remember we were speaking about that, and God, like when you go through the storm, when you go through the trials and tribulation, He is authentic and raw. Like nobody on this earth would be authentic and raw like God. Like nobody. So God has really taught me so much throughout this journey. He taught me, well, He's still teaching me, but He's taught me patience, taught me how to have more compassion and more empathy towards, because yes, I was good in the theoretical aspect, but I've realized that when I was working as an LPN and even as a student nurse, I'm super bête avec les patients.
Yeah, you were tough with it.
Yeah, I was tough because I was juggling so much and a lot of things were going on.
But that's burnout.
Yeah, that is a sign of burnout. It's true. It is a sign of burnout. And God has taught me just to have grace also through the journey. Just have grace and just go through it with grace and be patient and just, He's like always nudge me and like I'm always, every time I feel like a defeat, I'm going into my word to get comfort. I'm praying. I'm inviting the Holy Spirit as you said, we are all vessels, and I'm always inviting the Holy Spirit to come into me and just speak to me through your word, calm me down, give me your grace, give me your peace. And that's how I feel like now that I have God in my life and that I'm 2 feet in and not 1 foot in and 1 foot into the world. Now that I'm 2 feet in my faith, I really feel like God teaches me how to move, not only in my journey as a nursing, but in my journey in life and navigating towards becoming an RN. And also I'm going to be going on to the next step of going to university. So that's going to be another,
she's going to do more nursing school, y'all. More.
But God has really, really, really showed me and just been with me throughout the whole journey, comforting me, speaking to me. Because once you remove that selective hearing, you hear him so clear. You hear him so clear. Like you just...
I think that's the first time I've heard you say that to me.
Yeah.
Because we had this conversation, y'all.
I remember because you're like, because I was calling Mel and I was like crying on the phone. And then she's like, Eva, God is closer to you than you can ever imagine, but you have selective hearing.
Ooh, I said that.
This is why you're not hearing him. You have selective hearing.
Yeah.
And then when I really like, when I really like got into the word and I was just in my room and I was just playing some worship music and I was just like, just speaking with God. At that moment, when I said, God, remove my selective hearing and let me hear you clearly, that you hear God. He speaks. People, he speaks. Like, people think that he doesn't.
Y'all. And he went like out.
No, but people think that, when you're going through the toughest times in your life, people think that God is not there. But he, like I said earlier, like he's closer than you can ever imagine. It's just that you have to tune your hearing. You need to remove that selective hearing. And the worst part, I think what really made me have selective hearing is because God will say something that you don't want to hear.
That part.
He will say something.
We all guilty of it, y'all. We're all guilty.
He will say something that you don't want to hear, but to hear it, because God is authentic, God is raw, God will only tell you things to help you grow.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you something. Me and Kelly went to a healing crusade in Toronto. I'm sitting there mad about this, mad about that, mad about who this did. And she's there like, girl, you're gonna be bitter and you're gonna get sick of your bitter. You're gonna get sick because of all your bitterness. What was the first sermon that he says? You will be sick of your bitterness. And the worst part, he goes to does an altar call. He does an altar call. And I look at Kelly, every time I'm looking over at her, she's like, piercing eyes. That's you. Straight, I was, when the Holy Spirit checks me, I'm laughing. Like, I laugh. That's just me. Because, like, that's me saying, okay, I got it. Like, I have a sense of humor. So, but, like, there's times that I'll cry when he convicts me. But in this oh, my gosh, like, he'll convict me in certain moments. And especially when with her, I will crack up laughing. Because I'm like, okay, I get it.
God has a sense of humor.
It's hilarious. Hilarious. And then as soon as we're doing the altar call says, there's 8 people in here who are bitter about and not talking to somebody. And she goes, it's Melanie, it's Mel, it's Mela Poopa, it's Mela this, it's Mela that, it's Bula Reese, it's Bula Rice and Dal. It's all of them. They're all here. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. I never got so checked in my life. And I'm like, I'm sitting there
speechless.
I'm sitting there like, oh, who, me? Turning off selective hearing, just have a sense of humor when you turn it off, because when he checks you, it's just it's such a moment, and it's just like just remember that God, if you're being checked, it's because he loves you. If you have God's silence, I'm not talking about a silence where he wants you to learn from it. I'm talking about you've been so disobedient that you've drawn yourself away from God so heavily that like he's no longer there because you've just been following into your path and doing not so right things. And we're all guilty of it, guys. Like let's make this clear. Ugh. And but when you get his silence, ask for him to speak, and he will speak.
Yeah, he will speak.
He will speak. And if he doesn't speak directly, and he won't go like a big fee, fine, fump. He's not gonna do things like that. The discernment that I hear in my ears is more like it's a stop, yes, no. It's very small words, but he'll use people to speak through me, like that pastor who gave me that sermon, Kelly, in that moment, all at the same time, and I'll be like, third time's a charm, like, you know. Yeah. So how do you go through your nursing school, and how do you go through your career with God?
God is in my ear. God is in my pocket. God is everywhere. God is in my pocket. God is like. But the question was, how do you go through the studenthood
in nursing. How do you go through student and professional as an LPN, because that's what it is right now? How do you seek God in those moments when you're a student or when you're being a professional?
Oh, that's because I'm like smiling because we had this, like, you told me something and the way that I'm navigating through becoming an RN and having the qualities of an RN is having the qualities of Son Jesus Christ. That I've figured, if you have the qualities of Christ, being kind, even when people spit at you or mock you or do whatever, just being kind, still helping them and being empathetic, because you could get rough. You can get patients that like scream at you. I've got a patient who threw a box of Kleenex and a stapler at me.
Oh my God.
Like, just because he wasn't getting what he wants.
I had a dirty diaper.
Like we nurses, we endure a lot.
Oh yeah.
But having the
it's hard to get a dirty diaper thrown at you. You're like, the Lord loves you. It's very hard. Okay, it's so hard. Like I had a patient almost strangle me at work, and I'm not the only one. I was lucky. Anyways, I was blessed. I'm not going to even say the word lucky. I was blessed that it was didn't come to that point. Some people I know, unfortunately, it came to that point, and that's unacceptable. Don't strangle your nurses, please. And I mean that literally, because it's happened literally. It happens more frequently.
It's happening a lot now.
A lot.
In Vancouver, there was one. In the States, there was one.
We had a nurse that got stabbed in Halifax.
Like, people, we are helping you out, and you like, pourquoi tu nous fais ça?
Yeah, it's quite something, but navigating with God, is your navigation with God in when you're as a student versus when you're working as an LPN different? Because she is a student as an RN school, but she's also an LPN. So what is there a difference? Do you hear him differently?
No, I hear him the same, honestly. I hear him the same.
That's important.
I hear him the same. I don't hear him differently. Yet again, stop having selective hearing. When he speaks to you authentically and raw, you got to take it like a grain of salt. You have no choice. So navigating with God in nursing school is just the same as navigating an LPN, becoming an RN, or just being an LPN. Like, really having grace, going through it with grace, having patience, and really the role of an LPN and also becoming an RN for me is the most important qualities for me, besides the theory, is having the values and the qualities of Christ, of Jesus Christ, because this man walked on this earth. People stoned him. People put him up on the cross. People shamed him. They did the worst that you could ever imagine, and he still gave them grace. And he's still like, he wouldn't bash down or talk or bad, or, you know, he wouldn't do anything that we would have done. We have been like, oh, yeah, you did that? Well, I'm going to come after you, know? Like,
right? I've been quick to do that. If you know me, you know, we would be like, okay, you want beef? Or we'll start beef together. But we're a tough breed in the ER. Any nurse, to be honest with you, but the ER is just a different.
It makes you grow crocodile skin.
Yeah,
you become this like crocodile.
Yeah,
because you endure so much, and I think that's what made me, you know, shift towards that. Is the ER has really made me a nasty person, I feel.
Whew. Talk about it.
Like burnout, just it starts to make you become a bitter person and like dégoûtant, genre.
Yeah.
And ever since when I got myself checked, and then Mel checked me too. But when I got myself checked, I realized like I cannot go through life and be this bitter person.
No.
Especially if I'm going to be an RN and have another role.
Yeah.
Like, I need to show more grace. And that's where, when I, you know, got into my word and prayed on it and whatnot, where I was like, you know what, God, like, give me the qualities of Jesus Christ. Give me the qualities that he had when he was going through times of people bashing him, people throwing Kleenex boxes at him, or, you know, like, just teach me to have grace, teach me to go through this and not be hateful or not be bitter, or just teach me to just overall have grace, because God, Jesus had so much grace.
Yeah, he was on the cross, and he actually said, "Forgive them, Father, for they don't know what they have done." And I think of that moment when I have the diaper thrown at me, the Kleenex box, when I'm called names that are not out of my name, that are not Christian like to be saying, that are not good to be saying anywhere. I've been called things, and it's just when you get to that level of being called, getting hit so much, and like you have to learn to turn the other cheek, that is probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to learn. But you want to know what? I'm a merge nurse now. I'm just traveling. I'm not in the province anymore for now. Well, whatever God call. I say for now because it's whatever God calls me. God says not out for now. So, but as I step into being a nurse, still as a travel nurse in different emergency rooms, the big thing that I have to remind myself always is, okay, I'm dealing with these challenges. I'm dealing with difficult people. I'm dealing with vulnerable cases, very seriously vulnerable cases. How do I show grace in that moment? And that point that you said of remembering what Jesus Christ has done for us on that cross and saying those things, teaching us to turn the other cheek. It's the hardest thing you could ever learn, but it's the only thing that has shown me grace and shown me how to apply grace. And it's I'm not perfect. It doesn't happen all the time, but when that doesn't happen, I get convicted heavily. And people who know me as a nurse, this is not something that would have come out of my mouth 2 years ago. At all. This is very, very new material, raw material. Stuff that I believed in the past, but it's just never really applied it because you let the system get to you. And burnout is by far one of the most challenging moments to overcome. But again, for me, burnout, if God allows it to happen, so that we can learn to lean on Him and not ourselves.
Yeah, that's one thing. Yeah. You're checking me because it's true. Mm-hmm. Like Mel knows, like my deep personal stuff, and she knows like through the roughest. God will make you go through the roughest of the roughest for you to turn your cheek and be like, child, get back in your word and lean on to me, because you can't do anything of this world on your own. I've tried it. You've tried it. I've tried handling everything on my own, and it just collapsed right in front of me. And when it collapsed, I was like, I can't do this anymore. And in that moment, God spoke to me and He was like, come back to me.
My health went out the window. God showed me grace on that, but still enough to show me that I need Him, to lean on Him in those moments. It's when you start realizing, like, it got to the point where I'm sitting working on a trauma. And here's the thing, it has nothing to do with body shaming or anything. Like, that's not where we're getting at. I'm talking about having physical difficulties to stand. Yeah. That's what I was going through. Okay. I'm in a trauma room. I'm working on a patient that went through a trauma. I can't remember what the case was, but all I can do is rock back, like waddle in the same place back and forth while I'm putting an IV, giving medications, all that, because my back pain was so bad that I couldn't breathe properly. And keep in mind, it was the pandemic time. So I had that 95, I had the gear, I had all that stuff on. Yeah. And I was in pain. And when that moment happened, nobody, like, I'm not sure if anybody really knew. Maybe they did. And they just didn't want to tell me, which is, again, that's fine. That's it. But, and obviously in the moment you're focusing on other things, on the patient, not me waddling. But it was embarrassing for me. It was so embarrassing. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I can't believe I'm in this type of pain while standing. Mm-hmm. That's it. Mm-hmm. For me, my crippling point, yes, there was my mental, but when my physical started to deplete, and I understood that it wasn't just the night shifts. It wasn't just the overtime. It wasn't because I had a company or doing all these other things, too much things. When did you realize, what was your light bulb moment for noticing that you were burning out?
To the point that I couldn't even sleep anymore. I was just, because when you work in the ER, it's like you're constant fight or flight. Yeah, you're constantly on that, and I felt like I brought that home with me, and it just, I wasn't able to sleep properly. I wasn't able to eat properly. Like, j'avais des DRS. I would have heart palpitations. Like me, like the way I feel my stress is physical. So my body, like, j'avais des couvertures partout, des DRS. DRS is douleur rétrosternale.
Yeah.
I forgot how you say it in English. Chest pains.
Chest pain. There we go.
So I would have chest pains. I would have palpitations. I would have like muscle aches. Especially in the back of my neck, it would start to hurt so badly. And I knew what I was getting to my breaking point when every day I was crying. Every shift, when I got out of there, I was crying. I was crying because I was tired, because I couldn't get to sit, because let's say I couldn't attend to that patient the way I wanted to attend. Like, it was just, oof.
Yeah. And what did you do to change that burnout moment?
Honestly, honestly, I didn't do anything to change. God did it and changed it.
Okay.
He did it. I'm gonna get emotional because it's really crazy, because God is so good and you never realize it in the moment, but when you reflect on it, it's oh wait, I need to pull back the tears.
Oh my gosh.
But God did it. I didn't do it. Yeah.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah. It was rough, but it had to happen. But it happened, I'm happy about it because it made me draw closer to him. It made me hear him and see him in a way that I could have never imagined.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Oh my god.
But like I tell everyone, like, God is so good. He is so good. He's so much more than anyone could ever imagine. He is a God of love. Everything that he does is out of love. And I've never experienced such love to that extent. Like, nobody can give you that love. A mother, a father, a boyfriend. Nobody could give you that love but God. And it was crazy because it was God. God was in the midst of everything.
It's like you don't even have words to explain.
No, I don't. Like, it's all I can say is God is so good.
Because I don't think I've ever asked you that yet. No, we guys, this, out of any things that we've spoken about, this we didn't talk about yet. And I'm like, I'm wow.
God is good.
God is so good.
He is
One
so
thing,
good.
but here's the crazy part about all this, y'all. She goes through LPN school. Well, she tries to go to RN school. Unfortunately, there was a failure there, but she didn't fear it because she knew her calling that God has given her. And she went to, and we're going to get into that question real quick about callings and identities and stuff real quick. You go into nursing, in CJEP, it doesn't work out. You go into LPN, you excel. You get a job as an LPN in an emergency room, you excel. You get into RN school, you go back. And this is the part that is crazy because God will always vindicate you. You're excelling. You're like, and I'm not taking her on the podcast because she's got the top grades. No, guys. I'm taking her on the podcast because she doesn't show... she strives for a level of perfection. And here's the thing, you don't have to be a 90% student for you to be successful. But what God has given her and what she's also allowed God to do in her has made her the student and professional that she is and is going to become. She's now, you're cracking at like what, 90s now?
Yeah.
She's cracking marks of 90s. She has a great job. She's excelling to other bigger things. She's going to go get her bachelor's degree. Like, it's just because God puts a failure in front of you doesn't mean that it's a no. It means, God, what do you need me to do? That's the thing. People always say that, when this is over, there's always this confusion between, okay, well, is it keep on knocking on the doors or is this not meant for me? But instead of us trying to figuring it out all on our own, why don't we just turn and ask God? Because look what he's done. You stayed obedient to that desire. Because God will put all these desires on our heart to be these things, to be nurses, to be all that. But when we make it an identity, that's when we will fail. When we and understand the definition of a purpose and a calling, saying that is what you're meant to do, even though it is just a job, we have to understand that, yes, we love this. It takes a special character to do this job. And as you are pushing into your studenthood while you're a professional, you're a testimony for the trials. You're a huge testimony of God's. Like, God has given you these struggles because look at where you're at today. You're guys, this girl's gonna be valedictorian.
Yeah.
Did you hear that? This girl's valedictorian of all of nursing at André Laurando. Come forth, my dear. Like, do you understand how that is a testimony? Just that in itself is such a crazy testimony. And you're like, God may take away certain things in certain moments, but he granted you he gave you so much more. You're gonna, like, I can't wait for the speech. When are you graduating again?
I'm graduating this summer.
What day?
June 4th.
I'm gonna be there. I want to hear this speech. Honestly, there's so much listen, as you're sharing this, you're empowering nursing students, or even anybody who is in school right now, that if they're facing the fear of failure, the fear of or the intense perfectionism, you're showing them that if you just lean on God, God will give you the way. God will show you the way. And if you just stop leaning on yourself, it'll prevent you from going into moments of burnout. I've done it. I've been in there. I've been in too many times to count. But
100%. Like, leaning onto God is it's the most priceless thing that anyone could do, because tu peux pas confronter ce monde by yourself.
No.
You can't. You just can't. You need God by your side. And even, like, I do have to say this, that even if it does happen in nursing school that you do fail multiple times, don't take it as a failure either. God put other desires in other people's heart. Like, your calling could be a counseling. Your calling could be a travail social. Your calling could be anything that could impact people's life. If it doesn't work out in nursing, it's going to work out somewhere else where you're still impacting people's lives.
Absolutely.
So
there's so many nursing students that dropped out or failed and that went and became the best teachers.
Yeah.
I've heard of that. Become the best teachers. So show yourself some grace in regards of, and again, this is what it comes down to. Don't lean on your own understanding of why these failures are happening. Just turn to God and say, what do you want me to do here? Because we're all in this world of manifesting and all these things. But me, this is where it happens for me. This is where it happens for Christians. And with the power of the Holy Spirit, with the power of God working through us in the name of Jesus. That's how all of this works. And I know that, like, but keep in mind, like, there's so many other faiths out there that, and I say this there's so many other faiths out there that you need to have faith in all that you do. Because what I mean by other faiths is that we don't always the faith of ourselves is not the one we should be relying on. If we do the me faith, that don't work. I'm sorry. That part don't work. We need to, because then after, when you fail, all the pressure's on you. Yeah. And that was the mistake that I've made, is that I've led myself down a path of feeling like I have to be the Messiah in my life, in my career. But with that being said, I think that you have such a testimony to share, because you went through LPN school. You can relate with LPNs. You can relate with RNs. You have been vindicated from your trials. You've risen up, and you have such a great testimony to share with other nursing students, with other students in general, with professionals that are being challenged in this matter. And what you said about emergency nursing is intensely true. sadly enough, going through these challenges as an emergency nurse, and keep in mind as a nurse in general, but we know emergency, but there's the vicarious trauma that you go through. Don't take it lightly. It's what can break us heavily. It's just which department is going to break you faster. The emergency department breaks it faster. And again, I'm not here to glorify that. That's not to be glorified. It's nothing to be proud of either. Nowhere near. It just, when you work in different departments, you need to have, if there's anything that I've learned is that I need prayer before I go into work. Isn't that, I don't know how I did it before, and I'm not saying like, I just need to cover myself. Like, it doesn't need to be like anything wild in that moment. It just got to be like a very simple prayer saying, God, lead the Holy Spirit in me and use me as a vessel to help heal others. And don't allow me to not lead on my own understanding. Allow me to use the knowledge that you have given me to perform and help these people, and allow me to use the help and bless these hands to help the people, and bless the people that I'm working around to make the right decisions for the lives of their patients, and help me be a part of that. Help family members learn on how to give family members the knowledge, the wisdom, the courage to make those tough decisions in that moment, or the patients. And I say this in Jesus' name. Those things, I don't know how I did not make a similar prayer before starting work. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I can totally relate, because when I would not pray before work and when I would pray before work, there's such a big difference. Because I remember praying before work, and then I remember I was conflicted with a situation where I was like getting so angry, and then God's voice came in my head and said, "Be slow to anger." And in that moment, I remember that moment. Yeah, I was telling you that, and I was like, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna let it go. There's no point of like adding fire to the fire. Like there's adding gas to the fire. There's no point of it. Like just be slow to anger and just let it go." So really praying before starting a shift for me, and for you, as well. Like it's a must. Yeah, it's a must. In the ER department, it's a must, because the situations that you get confronted in will eat you out. Yeah, and honestly, at this point, in every department, because in every department, with just the experience, the trauma experiences that we've experienced in our departments, and then again, not necessarily because of the department itself, but because of the characters and the type of clientele that we're getting, the type of cases that we're getting, cases specifically. For example, working in emergency trauma, you're going to get gunshot wounds that are fresh out. It's going to be very different than when you deal with dealing with a woman that's pregnant, that's delivering their baby. Not saying that that's less valuable. Nowhere near saying that. It's entirely valuable, because when those things go sour, oh my gosh, but when they're so good, they're just the best. Like when I remember when I delivered my first baby in nursing school, I was like crying. Like I was like, the glory to God. And I wasn't even saved at that time. Like I was Catholic, but I was like, it was the most beautiful thing to ever experience, even though people may think otherwise. I was on a different angle, I guess. But like, there's power to every nursing profession, and every department that you work in. There's a power, there's a purpose in that. It doesn't make you less of a nurse, but pray based on the clientele that you see. And just because you're not an emergency does not mean that you're not meant to be a nurse, or you're less qualified, or you're less of a nurse. It's just what we're talking about, what we've seen in our areas. Not saying that what yours and deal with, like, this is what we relate to, and it's hard. It's hard. But it's hard, people. It's so hard. And another thing is, I wanted to touch on this, is that the heart, it says here, Proverbs 16:23, the heart of a wise person instructs his mouth and adds learning to his speech. This is the heart of a wise person that they're speaking of. You're able to have self-control in those moments. And the way that I think we can both agree that we got self-control is through prayer and reading the word. Yeah. And just leaning on God. Just always and no matter what situation, just lean onto God. Even if it's the most simplest thing. God, do I give this medication or do I give this medication? Just lean onto him for every single aspect in your life. And even through your journey, even out there for nursing students or any students in any field, lean onto God through everything, because it gets so much that you can't handle it on your own, and then you break, and then you go through a burnout.
Yeah.
And so just lean onto God. Just be in a moment of like quietness, or play a little worship music, and just close your eyes and just be in it, and you will feel his presence. You will feel the presence of the Holy Spirit. You'll feel the presence of like a wind blowing that is gently touching your cheek. And you know that God is with you. God is always there.
Yeah.
He is always there.
Amen. If you are a healer, if any sort that works in a hospital, which every one of you that works in a hospital, whether you're a janitor to a doctor, it don't matter, you're a healer. We need you in this job. And whether you're a student as well, because sometimes the students may feel like the bottom of the barrel, but you're not. You're the future. And even though sometimes it may not feel that way because of how you're educated, because of the system that it's in, don't fret. You got to take a grip of your education. You got to have grit in your education. You have to have a fire for the education that you're about to receive, the knowledge that you're about to receive, in order for it to become wisdom. Wisdom and knowledge are two very different things. Knowledge is what you learn. Wisdom is the application of the knowledge, and it's based on the experience. You want it to become wisdom, you need to practice it. You need to convict yourself into getting into practicing all of those techniques, those skills. What I did when I was trying for my licensing exam and I was burnt out, I would bring a coloring book to work. But when I was coming out of my burnout, I went back to work. I bring a coloring book of anatomy and physiology, and I'd color. And that was the most therapeutic thing, but that's how I learned the Krebs cycle. The Krebs cycle.
Those
That's
Krebs
what
cycles.
Don't we love it all? I remember it a little bit, but I'll just FYI, we don't use the Krebs cycle. No one uses the Krebs cycle. But
just on acidosis, gone.
The sugar and acidosis, yeah. We like VBGs.
Yeah,
we stop there.
Yeah, there you go. That's the only time the Krebs cycle will kick in. Other than that, it's not used anywhere else.
Exactly. But thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Eva, for being here. Thank you so much for sharing your testimony, your story, your tears. Yeah. Definitely going to move some people in this world.
God is just...
with the wonderful Franglish. Bienvenue à Montréal. May God bless you. And also, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, go onto our YouTube channel, engage with us, tell us what you like, what you want to hear. Also, go on to our newsletter on our website, nomadicnursenetwork.com, and be a part of the newsletter so you can see what's going on in the game. We'd love to hear from you. And please, 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 just sign up for the newsletter and follow us. Subscribe on the YouTube channel so you'll hear about every episode. And don't forget to click the turn on notifications, please. With that being said, nice seeing you, and bye.